Hi Management 3401, welcome to your Thursday class. So in this class we're going to be focused on managing diversity. I have my notes from your PowerPoint here and we're just going to do a quick preview of what we're going to discuss in the PowerPoint. So I start off the PowerPoint by including an article that came out recently that talks about underrepresentation at tech companies. And so you'll see that a lot of the people who work at these companies all look alike. And we have to really question why that is. So your book highlights a number of sources of diversity. And so we really want to talk about this issue because even though we are in 2020 and we're as diverse as we've ever been, minorities and women are still facing limitations on how high they can climb in their respective companies, and they're facing differential treatment that's not warranted by differing education levels or experience. And so we know that it's based on their characteristics, their gender, their ethnicity, their age. And so we want to make sure that as responsible managers, we know that these biases are deeply ingrained in society, at our jobs, and we want to be able to call them out and not participate in them. And so, for instance, when we're talking about age diversity, so in the workplace right now, we have everyone from the older baby boomer to the oldest members of Generation Z. And so beyond just making sure that all of these groups who are very different ages are all working together seamlessly, we want to make sure that our older colleagues aren't facing discrimination when they apply for jobs or in terms of the work that they're given at jobs. And so I include an article in here about baby boomers and millennials clashing at work. And I want you to read it and just think about how you would respond to managing these different groups if you were a manager. And we also are very aware of the biases that women and ethnic minorities face. So we know that if you are a woman or an ethnic minority, you make less money than your white male counterpart in the same position as you. And again, it's not based on that white male having more educational experience or more work experience. You guys, across equals, women and minorities still get paid less. And if you are a woman who is a minority, you get paid the least. And so again, as a manager, you need to consider how you would approach this in the workplace. Another conversation about diversity is around gender identity and sexual orientation. And so something we've seen in the news a lot in the last 5 years is the all-gendered bathrooms. So it's trying to be more inclusive to people who identify as, trans or non-binary, because we know historically these groups have been overlooked in the workplace. They've had trouble getting into the workplace, right? Because employers are hesitant to hire them in certain workplaces. And then when they do get a job, they're sometimes treated unfairly on the job. And so as a manager, how do you handle this? And how do you make sure that your company is as inclusive as possible? This conversation about diversity is timely because in the last 5 months, we've not only dealt with a global pandemic, but we've also dealt with social justice unrest. And it's been interesting to see how in which companies have been responding to these protests. So I include a link in here of a video that discusses how companies have been responding to the Black Lives Matters protests. And a lot of these companies and a lot of individuals are starting to rethink how they think about and how they treat and approach their diverse employees and diverse neighbors and friends. And so because of this, as a manager, I want you to imagine that you have been tapped to create your company's diversity and inclusion initiative. And so the prompt will be on Moodle, but I just want you to think about what that would look like. If your company says, hey, we've been seeing all the Black Lives Matter stuff going on the media and on the streets, and we need your help. We need you to help us become a more inclusive environment. Where would you begin? What would that even look like? So you are going to develop your own diversity and inclusion initiative, and you're going to upload that to Moodle. All right, that's it for this class. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next week.